Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Jamaica Magazine. I am your host, Audrey Williams. As we commemorate World Day for Audiovisual Heritage, we will focus on the importance of preserving recorded sound and audiovisual documents, such as film, radio, and television programs, audio and video recordings that tell stories about not only our history, but the history of people all over the world. We will delve into our archives to confirm some of our collective recollections that reflect our society's cultural, socioeconomic, and linguistic variety. So stay with us. There's more coming right after the news.
Be part of policy development at the PIOJ Dialogue for Development, Wednesday, November 1 at 10 a.m. Hear about policy imperatives for sustainability with sociologist Heather Ricketts, economist Christine Clark, and ecologist Dale Weber. And at 2 p.m. we discuss transforming our society through technology with ICT consultant Trevor Forrest, CEO of EduFocal Gordon Swaby, and directors of HYC Medical Drs. Fairclough and Core. Reserve your virtual space now at pioj.gov.jm.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry and this is your JIS News for Friday, October 27, 2023. Regulations to govern the National Identification Systems, NIDS, are expected to be brought before Parliament before the end of the year. In an update, Minister with responsibility for digital transformation, Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, says all 4 regulations are being finalized. The regulations outline the process of application, enrollment, cancellation, and renewal of the identification card. They also speak to security standards, processes, and practices that NIRA is expected to abide by. These regulations will establish the National Identification and Registration Authority, NIRA, and the National Identification and Registration Inspectorate, NIRI. Minister Morris Dixon says the next phase after the approval of the regulations will be the production and distribution of cards.
Obviously, in the first part, we're going to go slow. It's not going to be, we want 1 million people in 1 year or anything like that. We will start with the site that we have at CSO, at Central Sorting Office, and over time we will build out to other locations where the NIDS cards can be had all across Jamaica through our post offices.
Minister Morris Dixon was speaking at this week's post-cabinet press briefing. Meanwhile, tender has been put out for the retrofitting of 20 post offices to be used as enrollment centers. Minister Morris Dixon gave the reminder that the NIDS card is a voluntary process.
Now, I know that when Jamaicans see the card and see what it can do, and as we layer on more services onto it, that people will want to have it. But no one is going to be forced to have the card. The card is voluntary.
The National Partnership Council is to be institutionalized to further strengthen the framework underpinning its function. The aim is to complete the process within the current fiscal year. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says this process will provide a more structured framework with respect to the Council's operations.
There are many stakeholders who are not elected, but who have a significant voice, influence, and interest in national outcome. And when there is not a structured way of ensuring that all stakeholders have a say, then you can have a very chaotic democracy. And countries that have sought to entrench a formal system of social partnership or social dialogue tend to have a better outcome.
Mr. Holness was chairing a meeting of the National Partnership Council on Wednesday. He emphasizes that since the establishment of the Council in 2011, there has been meaningful social dialogue among stakeholders. He strongly clarifies that the partnership is not a way for the government to impose its position.
In this process, all views contend, even if they're adversarial, even if they are conflicting. But what is brought to bear is the eyes, ears, and reasoning of all stakeholders to come to positions. And so the the strategy and the structure of social partnerships work, and I believe Jamaica would be a very good example of a country that has pursued this to its economic development and social and political development.
The National Partnership Council consists of representatives from the government, trade unions, parliamentary opposition, private sector, church, youth and women's groups, environmentalists, academia and civil society. 6 new compressed natural gas CNG buses will be added to the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC's fleet, by the end of October. Minister of Transport Darrell Vaz provided the update during a press conference on transport matters held at his ministry on Tuesday. He added that a depot for CNG buses was being constructed at the Portmore depot.
So it means that we can put those 6 buses on the Portmore Spanish Town routes and then move buses that are currently serving that area into other areas that are short of buses.
Minister Vaz said the buses would go a far way in improving efficiency and reducing wait time on critical routes. The JUTC received 50 new buses in August, and the Transport Minister promised to expedite previously announced plans for the acquisition of another 100 buses next year to secure more units before the end of 2023. These 6 buses are the result of that, and Minister Vaz says another 14 are to arrive by year end.
We are in the process of exploring the possibilities of a significant amount of buses to arrive in the 24-25 financial year, which is April 24 to March 25. And I'm hoping that if all goes well before Christmas, I'll be able to make an announcement that will make the public transportation commuters very happy for Christmas, knowing that better days are coming.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is ramping up mobile health screenings across the island. The screenings will be administered through the regional health authorities. Health and Wellness Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says this is being done to increase early detection and treatment of ailments that may be affecting the population and therefore save and prolong lives.
If you look at the mortality rate and the causes of death in our society, you realize that a lot of it is lifestyle related, and a lot of it, in terms of premature mortality, is a consequence of ignorance, not knowing your numbers, as they say. And we have to intervene and disrupt that trend. And the way to do that is to motivate and incentivize people to get screened while we provide treatment.
Minister Tufton was speaking at a National Health Fund NHF ceremony on October 24. He said 2 approaches were being taken to execute the health screenings. This involves healthcare staff visiting larger town centers with mobile health clinics and the Know Your Numbers trucks targeting smaller communities.
We've converted some of the COVID buses into screening trucks, and they will go into the malls, the plazas, the small communities, and do execution around incentivizing screening.
Minister Tufton is encouraging Jamaicans not to fear going to the doctor for a checkup, but to view this as a life-saving activity. Several government entities have been awarded for their commitment to excellence, with the National Health Fund taking the bulk of the awards. Public sector entities that demonstrated outstanding performance the past year were recognized at the 2023 Service Excellence Awards recently. The National Health Fund NHF received 4 awards for operational excellence, diversity, equity and inclusion, digital innovation and modernization, and customer service.
The philosophy we have at the NHF is that every person deserves to be treated with respect. And I've often said that if you care, you don't need customer service training, because you're going to treat everybody with courtesy.
For their part, the Registrar General's Department RGD walked away with the Public Education and Communication and Customer Engagement Awards. The Ministry of Finance and the Public Service was given the Website of the Year award for its data-driven approach to strengthening the relationship with customers and providing greater accessibility for the disabled community. The Service Excellence Award was copped by the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining. The Ministry of Education was recognized as having the best front office decor for 2023. The Ministry of Finance and the Public Service won the same award in 2022 and was recognized in this year's ceremony. And finally, select tax offices will open tomorrow as Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ continues to provide weekend services every last Saturday of the month for the 2023-2024 financial year. The TAJ says the following tax offices will be open for business between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Saturday, October 28. St. Andrew or Constant Spring, Montego Bay, Mandeville, Savannah Lamar, and St. Anne's Bay. The Portmore Tax Office will also continue its weekly Saturday operations with adjusted business hours of 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. According to the TAJ, the Saturday service enhancement is a welcomed feature of month-end weekends for many taxpayers as it provides a convenient option for doing business with the entity. Taxpayers can access same-day driver's license processing at all but the Savannah Lamar branch, as well as motor vehicle registration and other motor vehicle transactions. The TAJ is also accommodating taxpayer registration number TRN applications along with various tax and fee payments. Additionally, motorists who have not collected their printed driver's license cards are able to do so at any of the listed locations if their applications were dropped off there. Audit and compliance activities will not be available during the Saturday operations. The TAJ is reminding people that they may choose to avoid a tax office visit entirely by conducting several transactions online. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Do your part to prevent mosquito breeding. Mosquitoes will breed in any container that holds water.
Tightly cover water storage containers such as drums, barrels, buckets and tanks. If this cannot be done, pour cooking oil on the water surface. Punch holes in all tins, plastics and beverage boxes to prevent the collection of water before disposal. Cover all tires or fill with dirt to prevent water collection. Scrub all vases once per week to remove mosquito eggs. Use mosquito repellents to protect yourself from mosquito bites. Dispose of garbage properly by placing in plastic bags and securing properly to prevent water collection.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Welcome back. As previously stated, we're celebrating World Audiovisual Heritage Day, and the theme is Your Window to the World. Let us now turn our focus to the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, which is responsible for the promotion, maintenance, and development of the island's tangible cultural legacy.
The Jamaica National Heritage Trust is more than just a building that houses artifacts. It's a symbol of our post- and pre-independence period. Also known as Headquarters House, the JNHT is just one of many buildings that tell the story of our rich history. It got the name because it was once the military headquarters of the War Office in 1814. The building was constructed in 1755 and was home of Thomas Hibbert. On November 12 that same year, the Legislative Assembly met there while Hibbert was acting as Speaker. It later became the seat of government and the office of the Colonial Secretariat from 1872 to 1960.
The government of the day in 1872 decided to move the capital from Spanish Town into Kingston. This became the center of governance. This is where the Legislative Council used to sit. And after 1944, This is where the beginning of governments by the Jamaican people, elected through universal adult suffrage, became the seat of governance. After 1944, we had a number of other constitutions which led us to self-government and ultimately to independence in 1962. So it was in this room that Bustamante and Manley and other great luminaries of the legislative period of governance from 1944 used to persuade their party members to vote in their favor. And as a result of a combined effort, we agreed to become independent, and we negotiated with Britain for the purposes of independence on June the 6th, 1962.
The size of the chamber would suggest that the number of government officials were few.
As a result of independence in 1962, the government also decided that they needed a new building to hold a larger parliament, and that's why Gordon House was created next door. So that's the joining relationship between this Legislative Council building, which is now the headquarters of the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, and Gordon House next door, in which our parliament sits. It's a very exciting corner of Jamaica, a very exciting corner of Kingston. And of course, the political parties today, when they march to Gordon House, one party moves from Headquarters House, as it is still known as, and the other party moves from the northern side of Duke Street and comes together in the Parliament. The cabinet room, or the room in which the government ministers sat, is upstairs, is in fact the boardroom of the trustees of the Jamaica National Heritage Trust. Today, the building is used for a variety of different purposes, which include the storage of artifacts, as well as the various departments of the Jamaica National Heritage Trust. So it continues to be a very important building of history and heritage for our people. The fact that it was built in 1755 means that over these last 250 plus years, it has been subject to all sorts of natural disasters, including a fire next door which nearly took it down. So hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, and other natural disasters, this building has been able to survive them all.
Did you know that it was from this building on October 12, 1865, that Governor Edward John Eyre planned his attack against the St. Thomas freedom fighters? He declared martial law from this house on Friday, October 13. And it was also here that the Right Excellent George William Gordon was arrested in 1865 and taken to Murat Bay, where he was executed.
The Planning Institute of Jamaica returns with the Dialogue for Development Lecture, Thursday, November 2 at 10 a.m. Stanford University Fellow and Dean Emeritus of NYU Stern School of Business, economist Dr. Peter Blair Henry will speak on the theme Beyond 60, Evolving, Innovating, Inspiring. That's the PIOJ Dialogue for Development Lecture, 10 a.m. November 2. Reserve your virtual space at pioj.gov.jm.
What a friend we have in Jesus. Have you ever wondered where some of the songs, dances, and groans we use in our religious practices come from? Well, look at our upcoming feature to see how some of our activities have been maintained over time.
There's no one way to truly play the beat of our Jamaican culture. No one way to unfold the depth of the various movements that are intricately intertwined with the drums, or whatever uniquely made instruments that accompany each other. And certainly, no one way to shake our hips, tap our feet, move our hands or dress to distinguish the truest form of our heritage in dance. But There are certainly several ways to tell the island's tale of musical artistry and infectious rhythms. Today, we tell the story of the African retention in one of our Jamaican traditional folk forms, revivalism.
There are over 10 traditional folk forms in Jamaica, and the majority of them are heavily influenced by our African heritage and retention. In today's feature, we zone in on revivalism. To witness the underlining beat of this treasure, we journeyed to the eastern parish of Portland to observe the Port Antonio Theatre Group as they showcase the intricacies of this art form. Revivalism is a religious ritual that was birthed in Jamaica between 1860 and 1861 as part of a religious movement called the Great Revival. It has two branches, the 60 Order or Revival Zion and the 61 Order or Pocomania.
Revivalism is the Christian side. They go up to 60 count, they have number count, they go up to 60 and they deal with heavenly spirits. Unlike the Pocomania, they deal with earthly and heavenly spirits or angels.
The revivalism ritual requires a lot of singing, drumming, dancing, hand clapping, foot stomping, and groaning, along with the use of prayers to invite possession.
The format of the revival, you will have the solemn part, where it's nice and solemn. You hear first of all you hear the hymn, and somebody's tracking from the hymnal. When I say track, you have somebody call the words, and then the congregation sings.
Throughout the ritual, members arrange themselves in 5 formations: free formation, horseshoe or semicircle, circle, working in pairs and lines. One of the most common movements is the trumping or drilling step, whereby members move around in a circle anti-clockwise with bodies bent forward. The members stamp their right foot forward and their right shoulder is thrust forward. It is during this movement that excessive wheels and turns take place. Cymbaling can also be observed, and this is the chanting or reciting a set of words over and over. This is usually done by the leader. Groaning and laboring is also practiced, and this is the heavy exhalation of the breath, making a heavy groan or grunt as the air is forcibly pushed from the lungs. During a revival service, one cannot help but notice the flag bearer, who uses the flag to clear the pathway or the table that is decked with various elements.
The paraphernalia that is on the table for revival, you will find that they have candles, they will have grapefruit. The dominant thing, if you don't see anything else on the table, the dominant thing that is on the table is that vase, transparent vase with the croton. That is what we call Joseph coat of many colors. So you must find that in the vase with some water. If it's a Zion, you will find white candles. If it's Pocomania, you find other color candles.
The revival churches across the island organize themselves into what are known as bands, and these bands are led by a charismatic or influential leader.
If it's a male, you call him the shepherd that leads a flock. And if it's a female, you call him the mother, M-A-D-D-A. So you might find both at any one time, or you might find one or the other in some of the bands.
One of the major features of the bands is their distinctive colorful attire. For each function, band members must adorn themselves in a specific dress code.
So for instance, if it's a baptism, you'll find they dress all in white. Generally, if they go into a convention, They dress in different bands. You'll find that different bands meet up at that convention and they dress differently. Some might be in bandana and white, some in multicolors, the colors of the rainbow, the colors of the primary colors or the secondary colors mix, or one of each. So you might have them in plain and it's pleated. Some dresses are pleated and it's, as I say, it's loose, not skin fit.
But without a doubt, the most recognizable piece of garment that distinguishes any revival band is their headdress that is wrapped, styled, and/or embellished in a number of ways.
The headdress is very important for the revival because you have a nice wrap at the front, colorful, and they are very neat in their dressing. And for the footwear, it's crepe. Why the crepe? It's that they can travel from long distance, and in a nice flat crepe you can travel without any problem. For the males and the shepherd, the middle of the head is not covered. It just goes around, the wrap goes around the head. Unlike the mother and the other female performers, they actually have to cover the head.
If you watch closely, you will observe that the robustness of the singing and dynamism of the band members could not be possible without a critical component that exists in every revival worship, the musical instruments.
The dominant instrument in revival is the rattle drum and the bass drum and the tambourine.
Because of these three instruments, the resounding beat of revivalism still echoes loud and clear among us on a daily basis and continues to be a priceless relic of our rich culture and heritage. Today, revivalism is practiced all across the island, but it can mostly be found in the parishes of Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, St. Elizabeth, and St. Anne. It is also currently performed as part of the annual JCDC Festival of the Performing Arts Competition. Wherever it is practiced, one will clearly see that revivalism is much more than a dance. It is much more than an aspect of religion. It is a multifaceted melting pot of our heritage. It is a Jamaican traditional folk form.
The Ministry of Education and Youth is asking all parents or guardians who homeschool their children to enroll them in PEP as soon as possible. The registration period is already open and will close on November 3, 2023. You can register your child for PEP at any Ministry of Education and Youth office if they were born between 2012 and 2014. Please simply fill out the registration form and attach a copy of your child's birth certificate. The blank registration form can be obtained from your regional office closest to you. You can also get a registration form by emailing sauregistratin@moey.gov.jm.
It's time again for the JIS Heritage Poster Competition. Are you a secondary level student? Design a digitally or illustrated poster on the theme Echoes of Freedom, tracing Jamaica's path from colonialism to republic. Let's see your best design. Lots of prizes to be won. Visit jis.gov.jm for competition guidelines. Registration is now open and closes October 31. The JIS Heritage Poster Competition 2023. Enter today.
We've reached the end of our program. Get a recap of everything you saw here and more on our website, jis.gov.jm. I'm Audrey Williams. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.